Good morning, good morning, good morning. Magandang umaga. I think it's magandang hapon sa bansang Pilipinas, ang ating lupang hinirang. I'm your host, Joey Salvador, coming to you live from the Great White North. Tayo po ay nag-live broadcast from all the way from the Midtown, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Ako po ang iyong kababayang kasama sa fight against the tyranny that's being rolled out worldwide patungkol dito sa pandemya na uh, ginamit ng mga diktador sa buong mundo, pati na rin ang mga tinatawag natin dictatorship. Napansin ko na marami ang mga Pilipinong lumalaban sa kasinungalingan nitong current na pandemic. Ngunit ang aking one other thing na I notice about what's going on worldwide is iba-iba yung laban natin. Parang iba-iba yung focus natin. From a North American freedom fighter based in Canada, iba yung aming mga focus dito doon sa focus ng maraming mga kababayan natin Pilipino worldwide, how they perceive all of this tyranny. And so I thought it would be a good idea na tayong mga Pilipino worldwide, marami po tayong mga kababayan Pilipino in the Middle East, maraming kababayan Pilipino sa Southeast Asia and Asian proper, in South Korea, Singapore, Japan. Marami rin pong mga Pilipino nagtatrabaho sa Africa and Middle Eastern countries. Dito sa amin sa Canada, we have about 1 million Filipino Canadians. Sa America, south of our border, marami tayong mga kababayan doon na nasa 4 na milyong Filipino-Americans ang ating mga kapatiran sa bansang Amerika. It is about time na kailangan tayo magkaroon ng isang cohesive na radio show para tayo magkaroon ng connection with what's going on. Napansin ko na sa Pilipinas, ang mga freedom fighters ipinaglalaban ng karapatan. For example, this is one example na kung bakit kailangan tayo magkaroon ng isang pagpupulong ng mga kapwa Filipino freedom fighters all across the world. Dahil meron mga impormasyon na I think is not being available to some of our Filipinos in other parts of the world. Tulad ng impormasyon patungkol sa remdesivir, isa sa ating mga masugid at outspoken na dissenter ng Pangulong Duterte na very recently kami dito mga freedom fighters sa Canada, both Filipinos and mainstream Canadians alike, ay nagsimulang magsalita against the tyranny ng Pangulong Duterte. Dati ako pong isang masugid na You have to forgive me when I used to have a very good Filipino acumen. Uh, Masugid, sorry, I coming. Ako'y isang napaka staunch uh, defender or supporter of the former, not a former, but the current president who's in the last leg of his race as the president of the Philippines. Ako po'y dating isang staunch supporter ng kanyang mga polisiya until this very pandemic or this tyranny that has been and is still going on, being rolled out and being implemented worldwide. Doon na po ako nagsimulang magsalita in against the policies of this current president. Sa kasalukuyan, in the present time, I'm giving all of my support in the behind the bid of Senator Manny Pacquiao as the next president of the Philippines. Uh, ang inyong likod po, Joey Salvador, ay isang Filipino-Canadian na naninirahan na dito sa Canada mula pa noong taong 1993 or taong 1900 uh, n- n- uh, 193 or siyam na put tatlo. 1993 when I first came to Canada. I actually settled in Canada in 1995, and haven't been to the Philippines only twice ever since. I've only been home to the Philippines twice since 1995, and sort of lost touch on the culture on the ground. Pero before the pandemic, ako po'y talagang nalulugod at natutuwa sa mga um, development na nakikita natin dito sa North America through the internet, through YouTube and other social media. Nakita natin ang development and the progress of the country. It seems unstoppable, leading towards the Philippines in about 15 to 20 years from now will enter its uh, dream proposition, a very, very viable proposition na ang Pilipinas ay isa ng magiging first world country. And the opinion of many, I used to work in the financial industry at ito po ay isang opinion ng mga nagtatrabaho sa industriya ng finances, ng ekonomiya sa buong mundo. And ako po'y nalulugod at natutuwa sa maaring mangyari sa ating bansa. At natutuwa naman kami dito sa Canada ng ah, taong 2020, last year, ang mga Filipino-Canadian, we already hit our first 1 million new Filipino-Canadian immigrants in Canada. Ngunit kung kailan malapit ng pasulong ang impluwensya at katangian ng kulturang Pilipino being a mainstream dito sa Canada, dahil kung iisipin po natin ang ratio when it comes to immigrant status of Filipinos here in Canada, meron po kaming 1 milyon, ngunit ang total na populasyon ng buong bansang Canada ay nasa 35 to 40, 35 hanggang 40 milyon lamang ang total na populasyon dito. So, ratio-wise, 1 milyon compared to the total population of 35 million ay isang napakalaking segmento para sa mga immigrant o tinatawag nating visible minority sa Canada. Ikumpara po natin yan sa mga kapwa nating kapatiran Pilipinong-Amerikano south of our border. Sila po ay merong 4 milyong Pilipino all across the United States, which is mas malaki ng 4 na beses ang kanilang size kumpara sa aming dami ng aming Filipino Canadians dito sa Canada. Ngunit ang Amerika ay merong 350 or 350 milyong katao sa kanilang total na population, na total na populasyon sa Amerika, masasabi natin na 4 million against 350 is a lot smaller uh, re- compared to our ratio in Canada, which is 1 million against 35 million or 40 million. I think we're almost 40 million Canadians all across the country. So, taong 2019, naging opisyal sa buong bansang Canada ang tinatawag na Philippine Heritage Month, at yan ang pinakaunang taon na aming ipinagbunyi, at maganda sana ang patutunguhan ng recognition of the Filipino heritage or Filipino Canadian migrants. Pangatlo lang lamang po ang mga Pilipino sa pinakamalaking migrant na m- migration flow into Canada. At as expected, ang dalawang mas malaking group of minorities or group of immigrants dito sa Canada ay ang mga uh, Sino at ang mga Indians. So the Chinese Canadians and the Indian Canadians have the two biggest population in Canada, immigrant populations in Canada. Pero are we surprised? Of course, hindi po tayo magiging surprised dahil sa buong mundo, ang mga Chino at ang mga Indians are the biggest populations in the world. I think Chinese has 1.5 billion people, and the Indians are just slightly smaller than the Chinese. That they're hitting over a million, over a billion people doon sa kanilang populasyon. Malapit na ata mag-hit ng 2 billion ang mga in-check, ang mga Chinese. They're about 1.7 billion right now in their population. I will do a little research for that for you guys a little later on. So, ang ating episode today will be a short pilot one. We're still testing the waters, as I said. In sa araw na to, nagsubok tayong mag-live broadcast at 5:45 a.m. At inaasahan natin na ito ay 5:45 p.m. sa Pilipinas, at ating tinetest what is most the best option ng ating pagbo-broadcast from here that will coincide with good traffic of listeners sa ating bansang Pilipinas at sa iba pang mga bansa na um, uh, maraming nagwo-welcome or nag-accommodate to Filipino migrants sa kanilang mga kanya-kanyang bansa. At alam natin na marami talagang Pilipino sa South Korea, marami na rin Pilipino sa Taiwan, maraming Pilipinong naninirahan. They're not just visiting or they're not just working on a working contract, pero talagang nalalaman natin na marami na talagang Pilipinong naninirahan dito sa mga iba't ibang bansa katulad ng Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Japan, South Korea, sa Taiwan. At isa sa mga importante nating dapat pag-usapan itong current threat ng Pangulo ng China na bago matapos ang taong 2021 ay susugurin nila ang bansang Taiwan, which is a very close proximity sa ating homeland ng Pilipinas. And this should be taken as a threat as well sa ating mga Pilipinong naninirahan doon, lalo na sa northern part of the country, Luzon. At sa aking pagkaalam, nung ako'y nag-ieskwela pa sa Pilipinas ng aking kabataan, that the Babuyan Island in the north and together with the northern parts of the Philippines is a swim or a paddle boat away from the southern tip of Taiwan. Kung tutuhanin ng Pangulong Xi Jinping ng China ang pagsugod sa bansang Taiwan, before the year is over, dapat tong consider na isang napakalaking threat sa ating bansa, the integrity of our borders, the integrity at lalo na o higit pa diyan sa ganyang argument is ang mga Taiwanese ay ating mga kapatiran also na nag-embrace ng freedom of trade, free society. Ang presidente ng Taiwan ay isang peace and democratic loving leader ng kanyang bansa. Aking inaasahan at nananawagan sa ating mga kababayang Pilipino all across the world, especially ating mga Pilipinong naninirahan dyan in the region, around the Southeast Asian region sa tulad ng Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan, and all around that ring of fire or tinatawag nine dash line dyan sa South China Sea. Dapat maging we need to step up and speak in behalf ng ating mga petilan brothers and sister Taiwanese who has decidedly will be defending their borders against the advances of the Chinese president tyrant. Kung hindi tayo magsasalita at hindi tayo magpo-push back against the Chinese invasion of Taiwan, hindi po yan isang threat lamang sa ating kapitbahay. That is a direct threat to the integrity and to the sovereignty of our homeland, the Philippines. Dahil malapit na malapit ng kay, sugurin ng China ang ating bansa kung walang magsasalita at walang lalaban sa China sa kanilang pag occupy ng ating mga kababayan, kapatirang Taiwanese north of our shores. Dito po kami sa Canada ay lumalaban din sa China. Marami na ang nag-specula na there are a settlement of Chinese military north of our borders or inside our borders doon sa North Pole. As you know, our globe ay seamless naman doon sa North Pole na pwede kang without having to fly, just although it's going to be very difficult because the Nordic regions napaka-harsh ng condition doon with the coldness and the ice. But with determined military gears and all that, they can actually cross over from northern Asia to Northern America without having to go through any bodies of water. Dadaan lang sila sa napaka malamig na Arctic region in the north. And that's the reason na isa sa nickname ng bansang Canada dito sa amin is also called the Great White North. Northern part ng aming bansa dito sa Canada is also could be considered as the Arctic North, and napakalamig. Kami ay naninirahan sa Toronto, which is almost the southern tip of southern Ontario. Border na po kami sa kapitbahay na bansang Estados Unidos sa timog ng aming geographic location. Ngunit napakalamig pa rin ng mga winter, parating na winter dito sa bansang Canada. And there is an accumulation of a suspected accumulation dahil nakalipas lamang na mga 5 taon, maraming binibili ang bansang China ng mga abandoned mining lots, mining properties doon sa mga tinatawag naming territories, northern territories of Canada. At kung kikilatisin bakit sila nag-i-interest na bilhin ang mga abandoned mining properties na iyon, ang mga eksperto ay nagsasabi na isa lamang ang maaring dahilan kung bakit nag-interes ang mga Chino sa pag-occupy ng mga abandonadong minahan, and the only reason is for a military accumulation. So ang bansang Canada ay isa sa mga bansang hindi nag-create ng napakalaking militar at dahil masasabi natin na One of the motivation is laziness, and because kami ay kapitbahay sa isa sa pinakamalaking military installation in the world. Yan ang aming kapitbahay na Estados Unidos in the south of our border. Sila ay kaibigan at kapatiran sa Western society, and Western democracy. Kaya sa Canada hindi nagkaroon ng very strong motivation, mm, na buhayin ang at buuin ang napakalaking militar. Ang militar, together with our police force all across Canada, ay hindi pa lalagpas sa kalahating milyong miyembro. Ang aming pulisiya ay nasa 300, ang aming militar ay nasa 4. So hindi pa aabot ng 1 milyong miyembro ng sandatahang lakas. Ang combined forces between the military and the police forces all across the country. At ito ay isang pangamba ng maraming eksperto dahil kung ang Chino at even in the name of the United Nations ay desisyon na gusto nilang sakupin ng Canada, sa mga ganitong panahon ay hindi makakaasa ang mga Kanadiano for the tulong ng mga kapatirang Amerikano in the South, because even the American military right now is falling into wokeness or tyranny. And sila mismong mga general ng militar sa Amerika ay nag-struggle to build their own military and to have a strong military resolve dahil nga sa klima ng politika na nangyayari sa pagkakataong ito. So, like I said, this pilot episode will be very short today, but we have another segment just before we go on the close of this pilot episode. So for now, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, wag po tayong umalis. Magbabalik ang Filipino Freedom Fighters International. At we are going to talk about so many issues that plagues the world. At ano ba ang magiging role ng Filipino Freedom Fighters all across the world? So don't go away. When we come back, we will come back right away in about less than a minute, right here on The Ordinary Joe, right here on Worldwide Filipino Freedom Fighters.
Freedom Fighter Radio, what is up? Whoa! Shout out to Freedom Fighter Radio and Joe. You're doing great work, brother, and I love it. All right, always.
Make sure you listen to the Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Show.
I'm on Freedom Fighter Radio on the Ordinary Joe Show. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Chris Sky. Listen to Freedom Fighter Radio. They're here today, back in the blue, and so am I.
Please consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
Canadians all across the country are sick and tired of the lies, the fear-mongering, and the hate speech they hear from the mainstream media. Download the free radio app, Freedom Fighter Radio. Click the link below, scan our QR code, join our mailing list, and get a free download of our Freedom Fighter Radio app only here on OJTV on The Ordinary Joe Show. Yes, this is Freedom Fighter Radio Worldwide. This is your host, Joey Salvador. Welcome back. Welcome back to all our Filipino worldwide freedom fighters. And tayo po ay nag-broadcast from the heart of the Great White North. And it's 6:20 a.m. Ika-anim na oras, 20 minuto ng umaga from Eastern Standard Time. Coming to you live from the heart of the Great White North, Midtown, Toronto, Ontario. Ito po ang Worldwide Filipino Freedom Fighters. Marami na tayo naririnig at napapanood ng mga freedom fighters all across the world at kailangan nga magkaroon ng isang cohesive na pagtitipon ang mga freedom fighters na mga Pinoy all across the world para tayo magkaroon ng palitan ng opinion, palitan ng mga kuro-kuro tungkol sa mga nangyayari worldwide at ang the tyranny that we are experiencing ay hindi na isolate sa isang rehiyon or sa isang bansa. This has been a worldwide role of tyranny that we are experiencing. Kaya kailangan tayo magkaisa sa ating effort to wake up a lot of hindi lang ang ating mga kababayan na naninirahan pa sa home country, but also we have been witnessing the increase of Filipino migration all across the world. Kaya shout out sa ating mga kababayan Filipinos all across. Right now at this time, 6:22 a.m. ay hapon or early evening na sa Southeast Asia. So shout out sa ating mga kababayan Filipino in Japan, in South Korea. Shout out sa ating mga kababayan Filipino also in the Middle East. Well, in Southeast Asia, maraming mga Pilipino din, hindi lang doon sa mga Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, South Korea, but marami rin tayong mga Pinoy diyan kababayan sa Australia, New Zealand, South, very southern east or South China Sea, at papunta sa north, marami rin mga Pinoy na nagtatrabaho actually sa Russia and sa loob ng mainland China. At ginagamit ang maraming Filipino workers sa pagtatayo ng maraming construction sites all across northern Chinese territories, southern Russian territories. Magpunta naman tayo sa Middle East, talagang marami rin tayong mga kababayang Pinoy doon sa Middle Eastern region, sa Qatar, sa Saudi Arabia, sa Jordan, at marami pang iba. So, we have a worldwide audience ng mga Pinoy at kailangan ngang magkaroon ng isang worldwide radio program. Ito ang ating proposition. This is the endeavor that we are trying to pursue with the worldwide radio program dahil napansin ko na iba't iba ang ating focus. Nabanggit ko nga bago mag-break na I heard one of the beloved mayors in the Philippines, Isko Moreno, was calling out and calling out the president for first of all, he's calling out the president dahil hindi daw nagsusupply ng important medicine ang Pangulo at marami lamang patungkol sa mga fear-mongering when it comes to the lockdowns and whatnot. Ngunit pagdating sa pagsusupply ng mga kinakailangang gamot, ito ay failure of the federal government sa Pilipinas. Ngunit ako'y nagtaka sa isang kanyang call out against the president, which is kahit kami ritong mga freedom fighters sa North America is speaking against this president now because of his tyrannical stand on the lockdowns and mandatory vaccines. Ngunit nagtaka ako sa sinabi ni Isko na hinihingi niya ang remdesivir na maging available para sa mga mahihirap. Ngunit pangalang hindi kulang ata ang research ng ating beloved mayor ng Manila na si Isko Moreno pagdating sa mga peer review and the medical journals that were published regarding remdesivir dito sa North America at sa Western world, what we are calling for is the availability and the use of ivermectin at hindi ang remdesivir. Maalala siguro ng ating mga kababayan across the world na last year, early, even when it was still the President Trump in power in the White House, na ang Dr. Fauci ay nagsabi rin na kanilang ipupush ang remdesivir, hindi nila isusuppress ang use of remdesivir. Ngunit dapat nating alamin ang dangers ng remdesivir has actually been canceled by many researchers. Many researchers have, if you go to medical journals, which is a public publication available to anybody who would like to read publications on remdesivir, isa pong napaka-dangerous drug ang remdesivir at very, very low efficacy or benefit towards the early treatment of COVID-19. Ang talagang sinusuppress ng mga tinatawag nating dictatorship ay ang paggamit ng ivermectin. Ang ivermectin ay maraming miyembro ng medical community ang nagsasabing sinubukan ang ivermectin sa kanilang mga pasyente at marami ang nag-testify na this is very helpful early treatment kung maagang nahuli ang diagnosis of somebody who's suffering or infected by the COVID-19 viral infection, which is also karamihan ng mga doktor din nagsasalita, which is half of the medical community. Marami rin sa kanilang nagsasabi na ang nadidiscovering complication ng maraming na-ospital patungkol sa COVID-19 is due to bacterial infection. And dahil ang bacterial infection ay madaling sinusugpo ng tamang paggamit ng antibiotics at dito sa Canada and the United States, the most popular na antibiotics pagdating sa pneumonia or bacterial pneumonia ay ang tinatawag na azithromycin or Zithromax. One of the brand names is Zithromax. But ang kanyang label ng generic label is also called azithromycin. Masasabing kalahati ng medical community ang nag-testify to the effectiveness of this wonderful drug sa as opposed to remdesivir. Very sinister at very suspicious ang pag-push ng Dr. Fauci regarding remdesivir at ito ay isang kailangan siliksikin ng maraming lalo na ng mga halal na alkalde, mga gobernador, kung sila ay hihingi ng tulong na to make available such drugs. Speaking to all of our freedom fighting Filipinos, kailangan yung gisingin ng ang mga alkaldeng ito sa Pilipinas at gisingin ng mga gobernador na humihingi ng tulong ng supply ng mga gamot na wag ang remdesivir ang kanilang ipaglaban. Ngunit I will recommend all of our freedom fighters to speak to your governors, to your mayors and local officials na ang ipaglaban para sa mga mamamayan, sa maliit na mamamayan ay ang availability ng ivermectin instead of remdesivir. At freedom fighters across the world, please, this is a plea for your diligent research. Ihungkatin po natin, hungkatin at pag-aralang mabuti kung ano ang sinasabi ng mga medical journals between these two possible life-saving medicines, and ang remdesivir ay binan sa maraming pag-aaral o pagsasaliksik na paggamit sa early treatment of any pneumonia infection. So yan po, yan ang dahilan. Isa lang yan sa example ng bakit kailangan tayo magkaroon ng worldwide radio program to have this cohesive uh, exchange of ideas, exchange of information. Mukhang maraming mga impormasyon na lumalaganap sa ibang parte ng mundo na hindi nakakarating sa ibang parte ng mundo. Meron din ako mga narinig na mga therapeutics and other ways to deal with the said pandemic na very effective na ginagamit sa ibang small towns sa bansang India at dyan din sa Pilipinas na meron ding mga Philippine-made therapeutics na hindi nakakarating ang such information in the other side of the world, and that's the reason we have proposing a cohesive coming together of all our minds coming together in a radio program. So with that, I would like to encourage everybody to download our free Freedom Fighter Radio app. The Freedom Fighter Radio app, makikita po natin sa ating description. If you are watching us on social media, you can see the description on the bottom of our social media post right now or the live cast. Tayo po ay nagbo-broadcast right now on Facebook, and we are also available on Rumble. At doon sa ating mga bagong tagapakinig, we would like to encourage you to download our Freedom Fighter Radio app. Ito po ay libre, walang bayad. And you can get the Freedom Fighter Radio app on the link that was provided if you're watching this on YouTube, on Rumble, or on Facebook. The link is provided on the description below. Basically, and also you could scan the QR code na makikita. Tatanggalin ko po yung banner. You can see the QR code on the bottom right side of the screen. I-scan po yung QR code na yan with your mobile device. Lahat naman po ng mga modernong cellphone ay merong scanner. And basically, when you scan our QR code, you will be joining our mailing list at lumalaki po ang listahan ng ating mga tagapakinig all across the world. So join the list, join our mailing list at makakatanggap po kayo ng email from yours truly how to download yung ating free radio app from Zeno FM. So we'd like to thank our sponsor Zeno.fm as providing us a platform to be heard on this radio app all across the world. The only disadvantage ng ating radio app is not like social media na meron tayong palitan ng exchange of comments or comment section. Wala pong comment section ng radio app. It's basically just like your AM radio except it's an app on your phone. The advantage of the radio app, wala po itong weakness ng signal as long as you have a good internet connection. Kahit kayo yung nagmamaneho, any part of the world, you can hear our radio program using the radio app. At libre po ang pag-download ng radio app. Like I said, you just need to scan the QR code, mag-join po kayo sa aming mailing list. And with joining our mailing list, you will receive the very first email from OJTV or Freedom Fighter Radio. You will receive an email link na matatanggap nyo to download the free radio app. And lumalaki po ang ating listening base on a radio app. We are very excited with that because Zeno FM has provided us with a world map, yung tinatawag nilang heat map. As soon as we go live with the radio app, we can see the world map lighting up from all parts of the world. Marami po tayong listeners din dyan sa Australia. Yan ay 20% ng ating listening base are mostly Australian with our English program. Pero gusto nating palakihin ang ating Filipino language program din diyan sa Australia, sa New Zealand, at marami rin po tayong mga kababayan doon sa United Kingdom. Sa ating English Freedom Fighter Radio broadcast, marami po tayong mainstream na tagapakinig doon sa United Kingdom, sa Ireland, sa Scotland, at marami pang Eastern European na nakikisali. Alam niyo po ang ating kasaysayan, world history, marami dyan sa Eastern European ang nasakop ng tinatawag nating Iron Curtain. under the rulership of the Red Soviet. Kung naalala nyo, makailan lang, wala pang 15 taon nakakalipas mula noong binuwag ang Berlin Wall para magkaroon ng doon sa bansang Germania or Germany, kalahati ng Germany for a long time since ng pagdiktatorya ng kanilang Second World War leader na si Adolf Hitler. Nagkaroon ng wall in the middle of bansang Germany for many decades. Ang mga magkakamag-anak na mga Hermano, tinatawag na West Germany and East Germany, na kahit mga magkakamag-anak ay hindi nakita-kita. Parang yan ang nangyayari doon sa South Korea, North Korea. Merong tinatawag na JSOC or Joint Military Border para hindi magkaroon ng pagtatawid ang mga South Koreans to the north and ang mga North Koreans to the south. Sa ating kasaysayan ay malalaman na ganyan din ang nangyari sa bansang Germany for many, many years. Hati ang bansang Germany between the West and the East. Berlin, the West and the East Germany. Kalahati ay under sa diktatorya ng bansang Soviet at ang kalahati ay makakalayaang pamamaraan ng sosyedad or a free society. Ngunit noong pagpapangulo ng in the early 80s, Pangulong Ronald Reagan sa Amerika at ang Pangulo ng Ruso na si Gorbachev. I can't remember what is his first name. The president, the Russian president, Mikhail Gorbachev, at ang Pangulo ng Amerikang si Ronald Reagan, nagkaroon ng kolaborasyon at pagtutulong upang buwagin in the early 80s yung pader na tinatawag na Berlin Wall, who has divided not only the nation of Germany but the demarcation in the European regions of half under tyranny and half under what we call free society. At ang maraming Pilipino ang nakakaintindi, nakakaunawa kung ano ba ang mamuhay under a dictatorial regime. Marami sa ating mga lolo, lola, auntie naka-experience, and many of our young people right now probably don't know the history. Lalo na mga pinanganak ng taong 1986 at moving forward. Hindi nyo naramdaman or hindi nyo na subukan ang pamumuhay under a dictatorship. But folks, I'll see you tomorrow. We are going to cut short our broadcast, Filipino freedom fighters worldwide. This is one of our pilot episodes. At magkita-kita muli po tayo bukas. We are going to try another time zone. We are looking for the exact time zone. Kung anong oras mag-tutunin ng ating what is the best time ng ating mga kababayang Pinoy all across the world will come together in a cohesive worldwide broadcast. At susubukan din po natin kumuha ng mga iba't ibang tinig from all across the world na gusto mag-share ng kanilang mga istorya in our radio program, lalo ng mga kababayang Pilipino na naninirahan sa Taiwan. Kailangan nating marinig kung ano ang nangyayari sa Taiwan right now. And please pray for Taiwan as the end is about to come close and the threat of the Chinese president is coming to a close. Huwag sana pong matuloy ang pagbabanta na invasion of Taiwan by the tyrant president of China. At ito ay isang napakalaking concern sa ating mga Pilipino. Kahit na ang Taiwan ang kanilang sinusugod, kapitbahay po ang bansang Taiwan at marami tayong mga Pilipinong naninirahan sa Taiwan. Kaya let's lift them in prayer, and tomorrow we are going to resume this discussion with our Filipinos worldwide. At ituloy lang po natin ang pag-uusap hanggang tayo magkaroon ng meeting of the minds. So, ang imbitasyong ito ay para sa lahat ng ating Filipino listeners listening to us on social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, Rumble, and please download the Freedom Fighter Radio app. At habang dumadami ang ating Freedom Fighter Radio app listeners, the more we will grow our audience base and participation from all across the world. Maraming salamat po. Ang inyong lingkod. I'm reporting from Midtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm your host, Joey Salvador, and you're listening to the Worldwide Filipino Freedom Fighter Radio. Only here on The Ordinary Joe, and we'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you all. Your host, Joey Salvador, saying goodbye, and we'll see you again next time. God bless, and have a good night.